Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the latest episode of JKL Media Reviews, where we're currently working our way through the science fiction series The Expanse, and we're up to season three, episode three, and the title of the episode is Assured Destruction. As with me, as usual, are my co-hosts, Jesse. Hello, Jesse,
Hello, everyone. Glad to be
and
here.
Awesome, and Karen.
Hello.
All right, and I am, of course,
I'm glad to
Lou.
be here too. Sorry.
Yeah, same with me. And I'm Lou, and
Okay,
that
good.
makes us JKL, Jesse, Karen, Lou, just in case you're
Mhm.
wondering. So we're going to talk about this episode, and the synopsis is Earth's strategies a costly ploy to gain advantage in the war against Mars. Anna struggles to convince, and Anna's the new character that we met last episode, and Sorrento-Gillis, who is the UN president, to do the right thing. Christian and Bobbie seek refuge aboard the Rocinante. So this was a pretty explosive episode, and I think that we've been waiting for characters to meet for quite a while in the show, and we finally get that, and we get the added twist of a Martian coming aboard a Martian ship, and the description of the whole Christian's situation. She's on a UN ship. She's with a Martian, and she's being hunted down by by a UN ship, and that ship destroyed her ship. To say the least, the circumstances are rather unusual. And before we get into it too deep, I'm going to go around the table and get overall impressions. And I'll start with you, Karen. How about you?
I actually really enjoyed this episode. Every time I watch this, as you guys know, I watch it with my husband, and I say things throughout the episode, and he is quiet because he knows if he says something, it will give something away. And I said a few things that happened during the episode. Like I said, Alex is spying on her, and then a couple other things. But so I was very engaged, and I do think it's a lead into a lot of very interesting things, and I couldn't hate Aaron Wright any more than I do. Although, let's see.
You say that every episode.
I know I hate him more this week.
All right. Jesse.
So I watched the episode earlier in the week and was underwhelmed. And
Hmm.
then I watched it again yesterday and I was also underwhelmed. And I go, nothing really happened except two of our main characters, groups of characters met, which is significant. And oh, yeah, Enright manipulated so that millions of people die and he blames someone else. Yeah, that happened too. And Mao may have changed his mind. So afterwards, you realize, yeah, a lot of crap happened, but just for some reason, it didn't hit me emotionally as other episodes in the episode. Like this felt to me more like, okay, we got to move the chess pieces to move the story along, and
Hmm.
here we're going to do this. I'm not saying it was done poorly. It just didn't have the emotional umph that I've had in other episodes. And I think that may be me more than the storytelling. But when you break it down, yeah, a lot of things happened, a lot of bad things and possible good things, but it just did not hit me emotionally as some of the other episodes, and I don't know why.
That's an interesting reaction. I'm much more on Karen's side. I thought it was a really good episode. Your reaction just shows that everybody's art is subjective, and what works for one person might not work for another, or not to
Yeah.
the same degree. I I could understand what you're saying from the perspective that there's a lot of big events happening, but the personal elements aren't as in the forefront as they normally are.
Yes, said.
There's certain aspects. I do think the stuff in the Rossi was pretty personal though, because it's obviously such a
Yeah.
confined space, and all these people are basically bumping into each other wherever they go. So I actually thought those moments were pretty good. But yeah, like the stuff that happened with the UN was on such a it's on such a big scale, and the dynamics of it was all very hypothetical from
Yeah.
our perspective, because it was all done through computer simulations and so forth.
Right.
So that is understandable, but I actually thought you were going to say you didn't like this episode of because of what Kotier did. but
There's that too.
yeah.
Yeah, and if we want to start there, not to take over the thing, right?
Yeah, we might as well go there. Sure.
Yes, I'm very disappointed in him. Yet at the same time, I wasn't shocked. This is, as he said, I find myself surprising that I'm on the side of the good guys, right? But he also is, I often, I will have problems with TV shows, and I'm a hypocrite, where someone doesn't, if we've established them that they are a driven person, they wouldn't take time to tie up someone so they wouldn't interfere later. They would just kill them. And so when they do that, you go, okay, they're trying to make sure that this character they're portraying is not horrible, so that we can root for them. It is absolutely in his personality that I can't count. I have used him to get out. I truly hate I'm doing this, but in the long run, my safety and my mission will work better if he is gone.
Yep.
So he kindly, as he can, eliminates him with the Theo, it's okay, rest, relax, and then kills him immediately. Whereas hopefully it was as painless as possible. And it is in his mind, I had to do that. And being the character he is, I don't know if he has any regrets. I think he's looking 1+1 = 2, and this is what I've got to do. Is it disappointing? Yeah, but it also is very much in character because Cotillard is in the gray, and for now he's working on the sides of the angels, but there was plenty of times when he was working the sides of the devil.
Cool. I think I actually do think he was sorry that he had to do it or felt regrets about it, but maybe that's my glass half full perspective on things. So,
No,
Karen,
I mean, I think at the moment, but I don't think he will not lose sleep over it at the end of the day. You not picture him 3 or 4 episodes from now having a
I
regret about what he did. And you might know better because you've seen the series.
yeah, I think that considering that the burden he's carrying already with what happened to Christian's son, I do think that this will haunt him in the quiet moments in the night, but not to the same degree, obviously. But yeah, it's
Well, that's
just
good to hear. I like that. I
yeah,
like to think
yeah.
that.
But that's
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 good.
just my projection. I don't have anything to back that up, so
Okay.
I'll just leave it at that. Karen, what did you think of those moments on the dropship?
Yeah, I'm sad, but ultimately, I think Theo would have threatened everything. He still does have an obligation to fulfill his mission of not only protecting Christian, but trying to help her to get the message out that she's not a traitor, right? And I feel like he understood that was the only thing he can do that would guarantee that he could at least get through explaining what happened. Because he knows odds are on a UN ship, there's going to be unfriendlies to him, right? Because they've been deployed by Aaron Wright. And so there's that whole nebulousness of I can't really give myself away. And he knows that. We saw that through this episode that he realizes he can't be open. And I honestly, I feel like he very low key showed that he has remorse about what he did, that he's sad. It's not like you or I would be sad. He's killed people before. So it is I wish I hadn't had to take this good person's life. But on the other hand, in order to assure my survival, I had to. So I got that. I I turned to Sean and I said, Theo would have, he's not strong. He would have given everything. He would have spilled the beans immediately. So I understand why he did it. And Yeah, I'm sad that it happened, but again, with the story and with his obligations, you can understand why it happened.
Okay. Yeah, I think you guys have summed that portion of the episode up quite nicely. All right, let's do the UN stuff first. We've got this whole situation where the UN spy satellites have been able to pick up these roving Martian orbital platforms with the planet-destroying nuclear warheads, and there's a an opportunity for them to make a preemptive strike and take out a large portion of Mars's offensive capabilities. Jesse, let's talk about that whole thing and take it right through to the end of the episode in terms of what happened.
Yeah, so I am colored by or swayed by I know anything Enright says is evil. So therefore, if he wants to do something, I immediately are suspicious of it. I took this to mean the similar of in the probably to this day now, but especially in the Cold War, there are U.S. submarines that deploy 3 months at a time where you do not land on any base. One of my dear friends, Ken, worked there, and we talked about that. You would leave and you would be on board that ship for 3 months. And you had to have all your supplies, all your food. If they ran out of sugar, then therefore you didn't have sugar for the next 3 weeks because there was nothing you could do. So that's the idea so that our enemies would not know where those submarines are that could launch nuclear vessels, as
Nuclear
Mr.
vessels.
as Chekhov said. Yeah. So that's what I think these things are. And if you can take those away, you have strategically given yourself a better chance of winning the war. However, when they talk about that there's only an 80 something percent of being able to do this without casualties, the Secretary General is that's not high enough. It's not. Technically, I think it is a pretty good, but I understand why he waited. And because he did wait, one of the ships or whatever things were able to get off a missile that destroyed part of South of America. And now they're trying to blame it on the Secretary General that if he had not waited, because of the process of pulling him up, putting him down, everything delayed that, gave him that window. So that irritated me, actually angered me that it's not, they're going to try to blame this on him when actually I think he was doing the right thing. There is a lot to be debated on should America have used nuclear weapons at the end of World War II. There are certainly people that say that it saved lives in the long run, but for the people that were killed by that bomb, that certainly is not a humane, especially when you consider that there were so many civilians. It's a very complicated subject matter, and I think they should be thinking about this. The issue I have is it did not hit me emotionally as I think it should have been. Like because this was simulations and because I can't stand Enright, and I wonder how much of this is doing just political. Is he actually do, he doesn't I do not think the decisions he make is what's best for his country. It is best for him and manipulating. And therefore, everything he does, I look at it with a cynical eye. And now then I know this is going to be used like he's really manipulative with Anna at the end. Oh, and it sure is good you're here. So that it feels like he's winning, and I don't want the bad guy to win. I wish the better stories are the ones where the villain is the hero in his own story. This is not a idea of I just disagree about what we think are done. He is doing this totally to cover his ass and to get more power. Thus
Okay.
ends the lecture. Sorry.
That's okay. That's good. What did you think about the scenes between Gillis and Anna?
I'm sorry. Which one?
Julie, the girl from that's the priest that came on last week.
Yes,
What did
sir.
you think about her scenes with the UN president?
Yeah, I think she's trying to give him. I think that was interesting. This isn't a righteous war. This isn't the Allies versus the Axis power that in they the comment World War II, the last good war. No war is a good war, but there was at least a thought, and it's true that the sides of good were fighting against horrible people. And so this is not necessarily horrible people. Mars is not Mars is not having concentration camps out there or trying to take away people's freedoms. This is just France fighting England in the Elizabeth era. It's a fight for power. And no matter how you try to turn this is a righteous war, it's not. And I thought her calling him on his crap is good. We are in a skirmish today because they won't call it a war, but the reality is it is a war. And it is not necessarily, I won't get into politics because I don't know all a lot, but to many people, this is not a just cause. This is about power. This is about oil. And this is about trying to a magic trick where I look at this hand so you don't see what this hand is doing.
Very well put. Karen.
Okay, so Gillis, he has reservations about what he's doing, and that's shown very clearly in this episode with him wanting the missiles to stand down. So he already has an inclination that he doesn't want to escalate things, right? So he goes to Anna, and I do think that he wants her to help write the speech, but I also think that another part of him is trying to use her as a sounding board for what's going on. And I really appreciated how she put things. She wasn't condemning him for his actions. She was just saying, you need to keep in mind this, that it's not a holy war. It's not a righteous war, or at least try to break it down to confirm why we're fighting. And then the exact number of people that can justifiably be killed is as few as possible, which I think is fantastic, a fantastic way to put things. But he also has this intense pressure from Aaron Wright, who is super pushy. And he wants Gillis to act right away so that he doesn't have time to think about what he's doing. At least that's why I think he's pushing the narrative here. You can see how disappointed he is when Gillis doesn't attack the first time because he doesn't care what the percentage is of how successful that would be. He doesn't care. He just wants this to start a war. I think it shows on his face a little tiny bit when when Mars manages to get a round off and kill 2 million people in Brazil, um, that he's alarmed by that he knows it's his fault, right? There's a little bit of him that at that point knows it's his fault. And then he leaps on this whole narrative that if you had struck earlier, we wouldn't have this, except if they had struck earlier, more people might have died. That it was only an 80 whatever percent chance that they wouldn't get a shot off.
Right.
It wasn't like the odds of something happening were nil if he fired earlier, but I think in his head, he has turned to this excuse that if you had struck earlier, we wouldn't have this problem. And he leaps on it because it makes him less guilty. And again, I'm using air quotes all the time. So he goes to Anna because he knows that Anna is the one that is trying to dissuade him from this, even though he's getting that wrong a little bit. And he threatens her. I think there's no doubt about it. He's threatening her. He'll need you more than ever. It's so menacing. And it shows on her face. I think we're supposed to think that she's upset by it. I think she just is upset by him, that she sees through that he's trying to blame them when it's not their fault. And I think she's on to him a little bit. She might not know exactly what's happening, but she knows he has some bad intentions. So I'm hoping that comes through a little bit in the next couple episodes. I really want him to have his comeuppance. He's evil. I didn't think he was this evil until this whole turn where he wants to frame Christian, he wants to go to war. Why does he hate Mars so much? That's one of my questions about this, because I don't think Mars was gonna attack Earth. They had a beef with each other, but I don't, they sent a delegation to try and work things out when things were escalating. There wasn't an imminent threat from Mars. At least that's what I gather from what happened before Aaron Wright started this whole escalation business. I think Mao was their main threat, that they were focused on him and what was going on with him, and they weren't really placing the blame on Mars as a whole. So I'm wondering why he is so adamant about taking out Mars, because he's not on Mao's side anymore. We know that he has refused to go along with Mao's demands that lift the restrictions on my family. So what is his motivation? I really want to know that. I'm hoping that we'll see that, but I'm not sure that we will, because I think that is the least of our worries in this case. But man, is he a terrible person. I do
Yeah,
have quite a bit of hope because Christian has evidence against him. Anna is not, she is very suspect of him, and I think Gillis is hesitant. And this development that all these people were killed is just going to solidify the fact that he is regretful about what happened.
yeah, very good read on the part of the scenes that I was going to emphasize. That last moment between Aaron Wright and Anna, I think says a lot about the dynamics of what's going on there. Aaron Wright taking this tragedy and he sees it as a lever that he can finally use against Anna, because up until this point he's been bewildered about how to approach her or how to handle her, and now he thinks he's got a lever against her. So we'll have to see how that plays out. In terms of Aaron Wright, I'm just throwing this out there. I'm not projecting anything in future episodes, but trying to explain his episode, Karen, I think it might come down to simply as his whole attitude is mega, make Earth great again. And I think it might not be anything beyond that.
Okay,
Okay. Uh,
sure.
that's just a thought.
So he has I'm projecting, he has those same thoughts about the Belters then.
oh, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. All right. Let's switch to Isle and talk about Jules and Strickland and Mai and unfortunately the poor boy. I can't remember.
Katoa. Katoa.
Katoa. Katoa. Jesse, why don't we run through all of what's going on in Isle?
Yeah, look, I can do tricks, Ma. And then,
I'm a Smurf.
yeah,
Yeah.
have you guys watched The Shrinking Wife?
No.
No, okay. It's the premise, right, is the guy accidentally shrinks his wife or deliberately shrinks his wife, and it's I think it's on Paramount. I don't know. It's really well done. It's not played for jokes. There is certain humor in it, but it was a little more dark. But the idea is they can shrink something, and then when they make it big again, it only lasts a little bit of time and then it explodes. So they keep trying to make it stable long enough, and the premise is if they can make it to X minutes, they know that the stabilization is going to count. It will stay stable. It's permanent. So, right, the idea is we can give this person enhanced abilities, but they end up killing them. So what we need to figure out a way is to make it stable so you keep having these enhanced abilities without burning yourselves up. By the way, also a subplot, spoilers on Spider Noir. So I thought that was very interesting. And we get the two different discussions, right? The scientist just thinks of this, they are lab rats. They are just guinea pigs. We are just doing this, and look how long we were able. We're one step closer to making this permanent. And Mal, I think, sees his daughter in the young girl. He sees it reminds him, and maybe I'm being over romantic now, reminding him of him being a father
Mhm.
and his children, and realizing, what are we doing here? This is not before, it was in reports and videos, but this is in real life. He is seeing this happen. And when he says, we're experimenting with children, wait a minute, we're the bad guys. He doesn't say that, but you could see that in his mind. Wait a minute, right? When I was working for a company, we were going to be outsourced. They were going to take down my center and change everything away. And we had to make that plan. We had to devise it. We had to build the processes. We had to build all the things. And my friend Ken, this is twice I've mentioned Ken in this episode,
Hi,
he
Ken.
said, yeah, only the bad guys make you dig your own grave. And they are making us dig our own grave.
Yeah.
And so I think he just had this epiphany of, wait a minute, it, we're no closer. We don't know this is going to work. We we and is this worth the cost? I don't know. So I thought that was very powerful. My concern, and the reason I'm not, is I think he's too deep and he's got so much else. They're going to manipulate him so he can't do this. It's one of those things where you think you have power, but it's gotten so far, Mal doesn't have the power anymore. And so it now then I just don't know if we're going to be able to, we're gone too far down the rabbit hole to fix things.
All right. Karen.
There's a very good reason why he is projecting onto May. And I'm guessing you missed it, but when he looks on the computer, Julie pops up.
Yeah.
Julie pops up, and we
Yeah.
see her infected by the protomolecule. And then he runs into May in the hallway, and he actually talks to her about his daughters. Oh, my daughter enjoyed that program too. And again, they're very expressive. You can see on his face that he doesn't want her to be experimented on. And when he watches Katoa taken away after he has I'm guessing it's a seizure, he gets that these are humans. They're children, they're human children. And I am not going to let him off the hook. He's still an ass, but he's not a good guy. But I think at this point, he's thinking, okay, the cost has been very high. There's been two stations that we've lost because of this. And now we're experimenting on children. And he's also thinking about what's going on Venus. So it's weighing on him. And when he projects his daughter onto May, he all of a sudden gets, maybe I should be more remorseful about what happened to my daughter. He's not. He wasn't sad about it at all. if he had even a minute of regret, I would feel bad for him. I don't. But in this case, he is making a good decision to try and stop this. I don't think Strickland is going to listen to him. I think he's going to go ahead behind Mal's back and continue with the experimentation. And I'm assuming something will stop him at some point, but who knows? It's not going to be Mal, though. You can see in his eyes he is determined to continue with the experiments. When Mal turns his back and leaves, he's like, nah. Again, he is one of the evil people on this show. He doesn't care about the cost, the human life, whether they're kids, whether they're adults, it doesn't matter to him. So, yeah, I found that interaction between Mao and Strickland was interesting, but definitely Mao and May talking to each other was really enlightening.
Yeah, I think part of why maybe this episode doesn't connect emotionally as strongly as it should is even though they're trying to build up this relationship between Mao and May, the fact that we know what Mao did previously and let happen to his own daughter, that's a big hill to climb over for us to empathize with this character in any way. So I think that's probably what's blunting the emotional impact of the episode from that perspective.
We could still hate him and
Hmm.
say he's making a good decision here.
Yeah,
We can still say, okay, he's a dick, but
yeah.
at least he's trying to do the right thing.
But Jesse said it, and you've alluded to, we can't trust that those feelings are going to stay in place because he's in a position where he has to deliver something. And how long are his feelings going to hold out over his ambitions?
Yeah, and we
We'll have to
already know
see.
that this pressure has been placed on him that his whole family is blocked
Yeah,
from,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, for sure. Alrighty. So the most enjoyable part of the episode, I would say, was the meeting of Bobbie and Christian with the Rocinante crew. And Jesse, I'm surprised that I'm not hearing more positive vibes just strictly from that part of the episode for you.
Oh, I love this. I love their discussion. It, you know, Bobby's PO'd that they mocked the Mars flag. I had forgotten all about them doing that, right? Fixed it. And then she's furious. The idea that I know this ship better than any of you guys, and like, hey, good luck. So there was definitely a territorial thing. I am not shocked that oil and water does not blend, right? And
Don't you think Amos and Bobby would make a great couple?
oh yeah, and then and Alex is in heaven, right? Like
Yeah,
here's someone else, part of the family, another person from Mars.
yeah,
Hey, let's all be friends here. And they're like, have no interest in this.
yeah.
Christian, and I do think it's good. I kept like, okay, would you just let her explain? Let her explain. Because at first there's just so much they are going like, hey, we saved your butt. It doesn't matter. We weren't asked you to save. Yes, you were. You said this. There's these egos explored into this one little ship. And I love that part. I love Naomi and Christian. We're not going to be friends. And at the end, Christian's like, yeah, I guess we're not going to be friends. Uh, yeah, there is absolutely a beauty to this that we're as an audience, as fans, oh boy, the the Justice League and the Teen Titans are minding together. The Avengers and the Defenders. Right now we're super team. And it's like, no, we're not going to sync at all. So I love that the back and forth and everything. And to be honest, this team has had very few moments, episodes where they're in sync. The Rossi is always jumbled,
Yeah,
except when they're in danger. And then when
yeah,
Avengers assemble, then we take care of our stuff.
Yeah.
but then immediately you start bickering again.
Yeah.
And so I loved spending time with them. I loved all the back and forth. And yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was a whole lot of fun.
Cool. Karen.
Yeah, the Rossi is a very controlled dumpster fire, is how I would put it. I really loved the dynamics here. Several little beats. At the end of the conversation between Christian and Naomi, she says, I think you're right. And it's one of those things that really makes me smile that she's not talking about Naomi's perspective. She's talking about the fact that they're not going to be friends, that Naomi said they're not going to be friends. I love that subversion of. Now, I wasn't shocked by that. I was like, she's not talking about Naomi's opinion. She's talking about the fact that they're not going to be friends. And they've written each other off. And I think that's where it's going to stay, at least for the time being.
Yeah.
I also really enjoyed that when Christian gets to the main bay and she's talking to Holden and the rest of the crew, she says, I want to cut through the bullshit. I'll start. Because she realizes that this is the important thing. And I also want to show you that I'm going to show my cards. I'm going to lay them all down so that you can see what's going on. She is done with dancing around. She has become less of a politician and more like Holden, to be fair. She has got this burning need, not just because she's in danger, but it's her mission now to stop Ehrenreich, the war, all that stuff. That's her mission. It's no longer I'm going to be playing chess. She's done with that. She's going to play a first-person shooter. I'm going to get out my gun and I'm going to fire it at the bad guy and hopefully it'll hit. And I also really love that, and I was hoping this would happen as I'm watching the interactions. I was hoping she would mention that she met Holden's mother. And I think that was great too. So Holden understands that maybe she's not the person he thought, at least a little bit. He's leaning towards okay, maybe you're not as bad as I thought you were. He also understands that she wants to go and take down Ehrenreich. He doesn't care. He is also past the point of caring. He's now on the mission of finding Prax's daughter. And that nothing's going to deter them from that. Now, there's all these other stuff happening as well, where Naomi might go off. And I also could, just before it happened, that Alex was going to cotton on to the fact that she's looking at going to Tycho. I love that he was spying on her while she was doing stuff on the ship, that he knew her well enough to get the lay of what she was thinking. And he immediately says, look, I know you were looking at Tycho. If that's what you're going to do, it. Don't mess around. Just go. And they kind of came to a stalemate as well, where she's going to eat his lasagna. That was cute. But now she understands that they've got her number now. No one is on her side. No one. And is that going to push her to leave the ship? Again, it's something I don't know, but and she also comes right out and says, I gave the protomolecule. We didn't as a ship. And I think Holden was giving her an out there that he was going to say, it's none of your business what we did with it. And she jumps up and says, no, I did. And then she and Christian confront each other later. She's unrepentant. First, she thinks that Earth has the protomolecule, and then she thinks they don't have the protomolecule. And that's why Christian, I don't know why she draws that conclusion. Whether it's true or not, Christian didn't give any of that away. She just she's shown that she's on the side of good, that she wants to take down Ehrenreich and stop the war. And then she says, let's blow Io to pieces. If that's what's going on there, if they're doing experiments, let's get rid of them. And that, again, that's a bit of an overreaction, but I see where she's coming from. If they're doing experiments with the protomolecule in order to use them as a weapon in this war, get rid of them. Make sure that they go away. And then on another note, first, also, Bobbie is Bobbying, saying she's going to take over the ship, and them saying, good luck with that. You're locked out. And she threatens them. And Alex says, or no, Amos says something about, we'll stop you. And she confronts them. You're not going to stop me in my suit, which is still charging. And she and Amos don't have any love for each other because Amos is the one that defaced the flag. I love when she says, do you think it's funny? And he says, not anymore. Because Alex dressed him down for that. But again, on one little note here, Talissa, who sends the message to Alex in response to his message, she is just incredibly rude. I get that they have gone on to live their life without him, but when she hears that, hey, he's alive, he has this mission, and he thinks he's doing the right thing, and she's like, we've moved on. He's never, or she, is it a daughter or a son? I don't know.
I
But
think it's a
they
daughter.
don't need him. Okay. They don't need him anymore. She's grown up without a father, period. Don't contact us again. And he's already feeling like he's alone in the universe, essentially, even though he's on the ship with other people. He doesn't have any touchstone. And all he wanted was a little touchstone saying, hey, I'm glad you're alive. Please be careful out there. I just wanted something from her, and she is just mean, mean. And I thought that was a little unwarranted. So I feel really bad for Alex right now.
Okay.
And
Go ahead, Karen.
no, you go ahead.
My counterpoint is he deserved it. He left them. He spent forever without giving him an update. Then he starts feeling lonely, decides to call back, and is asking for kindness. Why? Why?
Okay.
I'm cutting you off right at the start. This is, you are dead to us. We were dead to you. And now because you have a kind of conscience and you're starting to feel lonely, you're doing a midnight family booty call. And we're like, no, this is not. Look, let me tell you right now, Haas, to use his words,
Yeah.
this isn't going to happen. You've burned that bridge, and now that you've changed your mind, too late. I'm not going to let you break my son's heart again because I share that message and then we don't hear from you again for 6 months or a year. And therefore
Or ever.
I have to watch my son's heart break again. So cutting this off, done. You made your bed, lie in it, and I can't think of any more cliches I need to say. But
No,
yeah, that's my side. I get it
no, I
hurts
see your
him.
point.
I get how it hurts him, but sometimes you make your decisions and therefore you're stuck.
Live with the consequences.
Yeah,
Yeah, I see your point.
I see
I
yours
just,
too, just the
and
other side.
yeah, I do think that some of my feeling is colored by the fact that I really like him. I think he's a good character. I think he's trying his hardest to do the right thing.
Yes.
And in order to do that, he had to be present on the ships and trying to work for the side of good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel bad for him, and I think she was really harsh. But I absolutely see your side, Alex. He's feeling regret now, but at some point he was okay with just leaving them in the cold.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do have mixed feelings about it, but I think she was really harsh.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, Karen, but like you said, it's because we like Alex as a character, so therefore we're prone to take his side. But what Jesse said is equally true. It's just it's you make your bed, you got to lie in it, and
Mm.
you can't expect the injured party to be willing to forgive you for sure. I just point out a couple of beats that I thought were great. The scenes with Christian and Amos and Bobbie when she was learning how to use the magnetic boots. Amazing to watch how Bobbie is so enamored now with Christian. She's like her mom or something like that. She's very respectful. She's laughing, watching her using the gravity boots, and Christian's, "Ooh, look at me. I'm really good at this already," and whatnot.
She makes fun of her though. She
Yeah,
says,
sure.
"I'll alert the press,"
No,
essentially, right?
yeah, she said, yeah, I'll tell Mars to raise a white flag or
Right.
whatever. Yeah. So yeah, that was funny. Seeing Bobby and Amos butt heads was great. And Amos had that big wrench in his hand too. So,
Mhm.
and then Alex is trying to act as a peacemaker, and he's the other Martian on the ship. And I don't know who said it, but he says, "Oh, the Martians are bonding." And I thought
That
Yeah.
was
that's
Amos.
just great fun. I had a different read on Christian's arc through this episode, Karen. I think she was tired of the bullshit. I think she was in her element. Like when she first met Holden, she was trying to manipulate him, trying to stroke his ego, get him
Sure.
to do what she wanted. And when that didn't work, then she's flexible, she's adaptable. Then she went to the, okay, I tried to build you up, but you didn't go for it. So okay, now I'm going to just lay the facts out and see how that plays out. I loved it when Naomi said that she was the one that gave the proto-molecule to the belt. She says, "I'd tell you to cry a river if you knew what a river was." That was a
Yeah. Oh,
great
that was
line.
great.
That was a
That was
great
great.
line. Um, and the scene between Amos and Prax when he's taking out the staples, and they're talking about Frankenstein's monster and whatnot.
First
I
of all,
think
that's one of
the
my things.
symbology's kind of there
Right.
for what's going on in Io.
That's
Um,
one of my things. I hate when people call the monster Frankenstein.
yeah,
Bothers me.
yeah. So I thought that was a nice moment as well. It was very
We're
interesting
getting
that,
more background on Amos too.
yep,
And what
I guess
made
I'm
me
from
sure there'll be
Baltimore.
stuff.
happy, yeah, what made me happy is I had just said, when are they going to take those staples out of his head?
Hmm.
Right?
Yep.
Like, oh,
Yeah,
good, the staples are coming out.
yeah,
Yay.
yeah. He doesn't want to scare his daughter.
Yeah.
On a side note, that feels really weird when staples get taken out.
Yeah,
I had staples in my leg, and it was
yeah.
weird when they took them
Even
out.
skin stitches take it out. This feels
Yeah,
weird,
that's true.
depending on the type of stitches. What else was I going to mention?
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Was there anything else that I'm running through the scenes in my head? Oh, the beat between Holden and Naomi, where Holden says, "If you got to go, if they're not going to take the ship, then you want to go to Tycho,
Go.
then you got to do what you got to do." And I
Yeah.
thought to myself, I could just feel Jesse's heart sinking that their
Mm,
relationship
Yeah.
has
they're
changed that
done.
much.
Yeah.
Then the other thing that's really interesting to me is at the start of the series, the dynamic between Naomi and Amos was like she was like the big dog, and he was following her around. He would do everything that she said without question. And now he's totally against her. He wants to go to Io, uh, and we're just accepting that without blinking an eye. And that's quite a dynamic shift between their relationship. But it doesn't feel fake.
No.
Amos is really bonded with Prax, and it's been a very interesting journey to see where Amos's character is right now, even though he still has that very gray or very black and white view of the world. But I did think it was telling when Prax says, "How did you get out of Baltimore?" And he says, "I died." So that I thought that was a very
Yeah.
meaningful line as well. So just a
So
lot of great things going on in that whole
let me ask a
sequence on the
question.
Rocinante.
I want to ask a question
Sure.
about why he's bonding more with Prax. And I'm wondering if it has something to do with his affinity for children being exploited and that he always wants to stop that. At least we've gotten that a hint of that, that his upbringing was bad and he wishes that someone would have stopped what was happening to him. His parents didn't care about him or whatever. We don't know all that yet. But the fact that we got that conversation between Amos and Prax and they're talking about Baltimore, it solidifies in my mind that's why he's bonding with Prax. is he wants to help save his daughter from a similar thing to what happened to him.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm
That's
just,
a very good
I'm
read. Yep.
projecting.
That's a very good read. I also found it interesting that Amos was worried about his Prax's daughter being afraid of him as a monster because he had the staples, where the subtext is that Praxis were actually worried about the same thing for his
Mm.
daughter because they're taking these kids and turning them into these hybrid, proto-molecule hybrids. So just a lot of great subtext there as well. Um,
Yeah. The other thing is for fun, we mentioned that why do you know what it's like to
wear
walk in high
pumps.
heels?
Yeah.
Yeah, pumps. I had jobs before, and it just leaves
Mm.
it there.
I wasn't always in space.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The other thing is
that made me giggle a little bit.
when Christian says, I met your mom to Holden, which I
Yeah.
was really happy. I've talked about, I really love that actress that played the mom. She was in Watchmen playing the wife.
Francis
Yes. And yeah, she's,
Farmer? Is that
yeah.
who it is?
And so I thought that was an interesting, and yeah, I think what I think they're trying to say, and maybe I'm oversimplifying things, but last episode or the past couple episodes, Holden says, I'm tired of chasing windmills. I'm tired of fighting lost causes.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden a lost cause is dumped into his ship.
Yeah.
And it's not necessary, it may be a lost cause, but it's a good cause. And you go back to Al Pacino, right? I tried to get out and they pull me back in, where he
Yeah.
could be saying, "Wait, no, I've given up on this. I don't want to do this. I just want to go help this guy find his daughter and then figure out what to do next." And all of a sudden, he's being thrown into what he didn't want to be in to begin with.
Yeah.
He's given this up and it's too late.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a great open scene or a beat to for the audience to read how they want. When Holden says to Christian, he says, "I'm nobody's hero," and he walks out, and she just looks after him. I think you can interpret that her look
Yeah,
in many different ways, and
yeah,
we'll see how that plays out going forward.
yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah. Alrighty, I glossed over some of the stuff that happened on Agatha King. I called it Agatha Christie by mistake
yeah.
last week, but there's we've got the returning character, the Admiral Southern, who was the head of the military before. He
Mhm.
stepped down over disagreements with Aaron Wright, and he doesn't believe that Christian is a traitor, and he confirms that with Cotillard, and it sets up a conflict between him and the Admiral Augusto Nagayan.
Mhm.
Nguyen.
Sorry.
Nguyen. That's
And
all right.
so glossing over that, I it's important story-wise, but from a discussion point of view, I don't really have much to add to it. If Jesse, if there's anything you want to add about those moments with Cotillard on board the ship, feel free.
I was glad to see the Admiral back. And because I remember him and Christian, and he was a sane voice. And when we talked at the time, is he resigning his commission or is he just resigning is he just stepping down from the Joint Chiefs, speaking in modern terms? And
Mm.
so you can see he's back doing what he wants to be out in the field, serving a ship. And I'm a sucker for so deck 2, 3, and 11 are acting up. No, deck 2, 3, and 11 are fine. So you're saying it's going to be gone. And oh, yeah, Captain Admiral got it. So I thought that was really interesting. And him going, we don't have much time. I know there's a lot of things that I don't like about Christian, but one thing is, know she's not a traitor. This is my BS detector is going off.
Yeah.
I just like that sign a lot. And so at least she has one ally. Now he's not running the ship now because the Grand Admiral has taken over, but you got to think his ship is going to be more loyal to him than they are this other guy, and that could play out later.
We shall see.
Like in
Yeah.
Babylon 5, right? They had a couple
Yeah.
of those scenes where
Yeah.
the crew was loyal to the captain and the cause and not the president.
Here.
Yep. I agree. And I think they're hinting at that when he tells the deck employee, I don't know what he is,
Yeah.
hey, he implies it definitely that hey, deck 11, right? It's down, right? And the guy immediately, yeah, sure, 20 minutes. And he says, okay, that's enough. I loved seeing Souther again. Souther, I immediately jumped on that. Oh, this guy's a good guy. And because that's the whole reason he's on this ship. I also dig that Agatha King is a mess. The lights are flickering, and I get the feeling that this is definitely punishment for doing what he did. I also, Nguyen, man, you can just see that he's a weasel. And I think he knows what he's doing is wrong, but he doesn't care because he is fallen into bed with Aaron Wright and all this stuff is happening. Because you can see that he is more malevolent than happy to be doing what he does. He gives that look, I'll take you up on that. I'm going to take over your ship now. I also thought it was really cool that we see how Souther, he gets the better of Nguyen when he goes to talk to Kodiar and he gets the message about Christian. Kodiar trusts him enough to tell him that. And he says, yeah, she's not a liar. And then they hear that Nguyen is coming and he slips. You just see a little vision of him slipping out of the hallway.
Yeah.
I was very happy about that. I think Nguyen's going to be trouble, but I agree with you, Jesse. I think that they've given hints already that regardless of what Nguyen does, the crew is definitely going to be more loyal to him.
Yeah.
Probably because he is working with them to get the ship back in working order. He wants to make this a success, and they see that. And I think that they can also get the vibes from Nguyen that, hey, he's not a great guy.
Yeah.
He's really projecting that he is not a great, he's not a twirling mustache bad guy, but he's a menacing kind of dude. And I love that Kodiar managed to get on this ship because it's a great coincidence and that he and Souther are in the same place at this time. I think it's advantageous.
Yes.
I love that Souther has this opportunity to do what he can. So,
Yeah, I like this other character too. And I think it's interesting that the Agatha King is the flagship of is one of the flagships of the Earth fleet, and it's having all these electrical issues, which makes you wonder exactly what kind of shape the rest of the fleet is in. The other thing I thought I found interesting was the design of the bridge, or the command center. It had vibes of a Star Trek bridge, but because everything's in a circle, but the center part was much more like the command room of a war room back on Earth,
Yeah.
with the main screen in the middle there. So it was
it
an
kind of
interesting.
reminded me of Star Wars.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
have
yeah.
that
More
middle,
industrial look to
yeah.
it. Yeah. And it was everything on that ship is white. Now, whether that was I'm assuming that was a deliberate choice, but it just makes you feel like these are the good guys,
Yeah.
just because of the color scheme. So I
Yeah.
found that interesting as well. I had to chuckle though that this ship is all the way out near Jupiter, and yet Nagoyan was able to travel from Earth to this ship in like
Yeah.
it was like a day. I don't think so,
Yeah.
but you have to hand wave it. It's like that Game of Thrones moment where somebody went from the wall to I don't know to the Capitol or something like that
Yeah.
within an hour or something like that. So you
Yeah,
just kind of have
exactly. You're like,
hand
what?
wave it. And the other gaff I was caught was Christian when she got up from the sick bay to talk to Holden. She was just wearing her pumps. She wasn't wearing magnetic boots, and she was walking around like
Yeah.
so it's those little things that the convenience that you have to accept in dramatic television.
Well,
But
did we really want that time of Nguyen getting there?
this is the
You know,
decision,
taking
right?
the,
We don't. That's why they didn't
Right.
do it.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think that's,
But we're a show that prides itself on being so scientifically correct. It's just
yeah,
when they break the rules for dramatic reasons, it just makes me chuckle. That's all.
yeah, no, I get
Yeah,
you.
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. Alrighty. So that is our talk about this episode. There's big things happening. We're going to Io. Whatever's going on the Agatha King is going to come to a head. The UN story is not moving, I don't think, at the same speed, so that one might take a little longer to play out. But the dynamics there between Aaron Wright and Anna and the UN president are interesting. So expect can expect big things to keep continuing happening in the next episode, and that one will be Jesse's turn to lead. So
Yay.
that's about it. Is there anything that hasn't come up that you guys wanted to mention, or?
No, I think I'm good. I'm ready for a rating.
Yeah, yeah, all right. All
Mhm.
right. So rating time. Yes, let's do it. So, Jesse, what's your rating for this episode?
So, even though I had my problems with the episode, I understand what it was doing and where it's go. So I'm still going to give it 8 out of 10 gravity boots that are like pumps.
Very good. Karen.
I'm gonna give it an 8 as well. I'm gonna give it 8 duct taped coffee makers.
Oh, okay. I liked it a bit more than you guys. So maybe this is part of the rewatch factor coming in, but I'm going to give this one 9 staples.
Nice.
Okay, cool.
All righty. So with that, Jesse, where can people find you?
You can find me on social media at Jesse Jackson DFW on Twitter, X, Blue Sky, all the other places. Jesse Jackson on Facebook. You can hear me talking music on Set Lusting Bruce. I have a couple of, as we get to this, it'll be June. And I'm doing a series of episodes, new episodes focusing on Pride Month. And I'm republishing a couple episodes where I've had topics that I think are very interesting in the Pride Month. Charles Skaggs and I continue to talk Doctor Who. And if you go to Next Stop Everywhere, the Doctor Who podcast on Facebook, you can see a list of all the episodes we're going to discuss this summer. And anyone is welcome to sign up to watch the episode with us and then discuss. Always welcome to have that. And coming up in a couple weeks, Small Council Matters, where we will be discussing the 3rd season of House of Dragons in the Game of Thrones universe.
Whew. Karen,
So
beat
much.
that.
I can't. I've given up. You can email the show here at jklmediareviews@gmail.com. I am at Oliveria on social media et al. And my blog is alliestuff.com.
And I can be found at this YouTube channel, JKL Media Reviews, where, of course, we're doing The Expanse, waiting for the return of Severance and Pluribus. And on my personal channel, You Lose Reviews, you'll find my Stephen King podcast, as well as my writer interview podcast, as well as our collective review of the Babylon series, the entire series, plus the animated movie. And on Twitter and X, you can find me at Lou W. Sitzma, Sytsmna. So that's it for now. Until next week, we're shutting our Epstein Drive down again, and we're asking all of you to please rejoin us when we start it up again next week. And that's it for now. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
And scene.
The proceeding has been a JKL Media production.